Hello, welcome back to Studios Productions. Today we're going to be talking about Nintendo in 2021. So every year we do our predictions for the upcoming year, and I inevitably get most of it wrong, but it's fun to do. It's fun to try to predict Nintendo, one of the most unpredictable companies on the planet. And we're going to be doing that. We're going to be looking through what I think are some of the games that have a high possibility of coming out this year. Obviously, these are just my opinions. If you have your own, please leave them in the comments. But, I don't know that most of these are going to be right, but, it's fun. So I had to re-edit this video because I had forgotten some stuff. And luckily I did forget some stuff because Nintendo released their first look at the Bowser's Fury mode. So I can talk about that now instead of just glossing over this game. Bowser's Fury looks amazing. I just saw the trailer. It looks super cool. I'm super into Kaiju Bowser. Super Neon, which is what I'm calling him. Super Neon Cat Mario looks dope. Like, the Bowser's Fury mode looks amazing. It's fully 3D, it looks like. Bowser Jr.'s playable, I'm assuming, by the second player character. And he uses the paintbrush from Mario Sunshine. It just looks amazing. It definitely looks like it adds a lot more value to an already amazing game. And I'm super excited for it. Honestly, even as, I've already beaten 3D World on the Wii U, I'm considering picking this game up just for that crazy Bowser's Fury mode. The only other game we kind of know that's happening is new Pokemon Snap. Now, I don't think we get a release date for that game, but I'm going to assume that it'll be out this year, probably because of the Pokemon, anniversary that's coming up, the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. It'll probably be a part of that. And I would assume that this game's probably going to come out sometime in the spring. Seems like that kind of, smaller game and a good time for it. Then actually, funny enough, keeping on the anniversary train, I have been predicting that we'll see Retro's game since the Switch launched. I think every year I've done one of these, I've predicted that we're going to see Retro's game. In most big, direct predictions, I've predicted that we're going to see Retro's game. And guess what? We're not changing it up. We're going to see Retro's game this year. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if there even is a game, that if it's not just completely canceled projects and they started working on Metroid Prime 4. I don't know, but this is the last year I'm going to predict this because I think we're getting close enough to Metroid Prime 4's release that if they don't have something else, at this point they're not going to get anything else until after that releases. And at first I thought it was going to be some new, big, inventive IP, maybe a returning franchise, but I'm actually going to say that it's going to be Donkey Kong Country 6. The reason I'm saying it's Donkey Kong Country is that the more and more time it takes, the more and more I think it's Donkey Kong, because I don't think Donkey Kong is going to take a long time for them to produce. I know it's kind of weird saying that the game that takes less time to produce is going to be the one that comes out the longer it takes when they release this game, but the reason being is I think that if they release a game like Donkey Kong Country, I doubt they've been working on Donkey Kong Country this entire time. They probably started working on something, it got cancelled, they worked on more stuff that got cancelled or something, big delays happened in there internally and a bunch of mess happened, and then when they got onto working a game, it was a easier game to do, which I think Donkey Kong Country 6 would be that, since they've already worked on 2 of these games before. The other idea is that they were still working on that game. That the game that they're going to release is the game that they've been working on this whole time, and it has needed this much tweaking. And if that's true, and if there was only something early on canceled and not later on, I think it'll be Diddy Kong Racing 2. I predicted Diddy Kong Racing last year, and the reason behind it was that I don't think Nintendo really wants to do a Mario Kart until pretty late in the Switch's life cycle because of how well Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is selling. But you also want to capitalize on it and get in a new racing game, because we really don't have a first-party racing game on the Switch aside from Mario Kart. And Diddy Kong Racing would fill a void, it'd bring back an IP that people really love, and it could do it in a new, different way because Retro's handling it instead of Rare. The only other game that I could really imagine at this point is F-Zero, which I also said last year, but I don't think F-Zero is coming back anytime soon. Maybe one day, but I don't feel comfortable saying that F-Zero is coming back. I think that now is the time because of the Mario Kart delay, but I just don't see it happening. I think Diddy Kong Racing has a better chance than F-Zero does, even though I think F-Zero would actually do better on the market than Diddy Kong Racing will. But I do think that it's either going to be Donkey Kong Country or a Donkey Kong spin-off, most likely Diddy Kong Racing. And I'm going to add this real quick at the end here because I'm editing this and I just thought of this idea. 3D All-Stars, but for Donkey Kong, would be 10 times better than the Mario one. Put DK64, Jungle Beat, and the original Donkey Kong Country on here. Boom. That's an anniversary release. Give us Donkey Kong Country 6, but also just please let me play Returns on the Switch. I don't understand why Tropical Freeze and Returns were in a double pack. I really want Returns on the Switch. Put Returns on the Switch. And I do think this will be the year that we'll see Metroid Prime 4. I don't think we're going to get Metroid Prime 4 this year, but I think we'll see our first teaser trailer for it. It's the Metroid anniversary. They're probably going to want to celebrate it, at least in some small way, and I think that a Metroid Prime 4 trailer at E3 or something would be a good way to kind of, show it up to the fans, and then you can come out with a news article being like, hey, it's Metroid's anniversary, this, that, and that, blah, 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 blah. And real quick, since we're talking about Metroid already, I want to jump in on Metroid's anniversary, because if they're going to skip one, they're going to skip Metroid. But there's a couple things that they could do. One or more of these could happen. They could either release Trilogy. I think it makes sense to release it. We're close enough to Metroid Prime 4 that it would make sense. We could see a remake of a previous Metroid game, whether that be Super Metroid that's been rumored, or Fusion, for example. We could get Metroid 5, or we could get a Samus Returns port. I would be fine with any of these, the remakes being my least favorite idea, and Metroid 5 being my most favorite, but I would take Samus Returns, and I would take Trilogy, no problem. But I think one or two of these could happen. I don't know which ones, but one or two of those could happen, and that's really about it for Metroid. I don't think that they'll do... We'll get a trailer for Metroid Prime 4, which I just mentioned, but nothing too extravagant here. They're not going to do like an anniversary collection, for example. So we do have another big anniversary, which is, of course, Zelda's, I believe it's the 25th anniversary. They're going to do something. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea, but they're going to do something. I have a video coming out on this where I talk about some possibilities. There's a bunch of different things Nintendo can do. They could go the 3D All-Stars route, or they could do something completely different. We won't know until it happens. But I'm going to have another video coming out about that, so I'm not going to get into the details of it. But yes, I do think they're going to do something for Zelda's anniversary. It would not make sense to not do that, especially considering how much the 3D All-Stars pack made. Now, the last anniversary we have is Pokémon, and there's been some rumors going around that we're going to get a physical release for a anniversary collection, kind of like Mario. And this anniversary collection, I do think it's going to happen, to make it clear, but it confuses me. Because, first off, what games are going to be on there? How many Pokemon games are you going to fit on there? Because you're not going to sell, for the love of God, you're not going to sell Pokemon Red and Blue, Gold, Silver, and Ruby and Sapphire for $60. Like, you're not going to, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely absurd. People are already mad about the 3D Marios, could you imagine that? But even if you throw in, like, Diamond and Pearl, okay, but then it also comes out to the point where, like, do you throw in Leaf Green Fire Red? Do you throw in Heart Gold to Silver? At this point, it starts to become a little bit more worth the price, assuming that they wouldn't make it a budget price, because they probably would. But it just, there's so many weird things in there. And then, like, can you transfer those Pokemon over to Sword and Shield? Because of the whole, Dexit scandal. People would be mad if they can't, and people, I don't know. It seems like a weird thing to do. I'm not saying I would buy it. I'd be glad to have those games physically, especially because, it's hard to get those games on the aftermarket, and they're real. It's pretty difficult to do that. So, some of these games actually need them, but I don't know. It confuses me why they wouldn't just put them on Nintendo Switch Online. Especially because something we'll talk about later in the video, I really just think they should put it on Nintendo Switch Online and call it a day, instead of doing this, but I don't know. I do think it's going to happen. It just seems like a move that Nintendo and Pokemon Company would make, but it's going to confuse me until we see it, see a trailer for it. Hopefully we'll see it soon, because, I would expect a direct from the Pokemon Company pretty early on in the year to announce their plans, so we'll have to wait and see. And another game that I think was probably scheduled for 2020 and didn't make it is a Mario sports game. It feels like the right time. I think last year everybody was really ready for a Mario spinoff, and we did get one. We got Paper Mario, but I don't think that's what we were expecting. I think we were expecting either Mario Party 2 or a Mario sports game. They probably had one planned out, but it got pushed because of the pandemic. Now, as for what sports game, we have a little bit more leniency here. I don't think it'll be Strikers. One, because Strikers is kind of the redheaded stepchild of the Mario sports genre. But also because Next Level has just, they've been working on Luigi's Mansion 3. I don't know what they're going to be working on next, but I doubt it'll be out this year. Probably going to take a little bit longer for them to get the game out. Then we have golf, which is probably the most likely because, golf and tennis tend to come in pairs. They're the Camelot games. Camelot's probably about ready to release something. Golf would make sense. But what I'm actually going to put my money on, and there's a reason for it, we'll come to it later, is Sluggers. I think we're going to get Mario Baseball this year. I know that golf is probably the easier, more, less risky prediction, but I'm going to go with baseball because I do think Camelot is working on something else. If you know Camelot, you know what I'm talking about, and we'll get to it. But I think baseball, it'll probably be developed by, I think Bandai Namco is the people who do that. I'm not entirely sure, but I think baseball makes sense. I think it's popular. I think it's good. Maybe there's something crazy like Mario Basketball again, or like, one of them other crazy Mario games that they tend to do. Maybe Sega will develop one. That would actually make sense because Sega does, the Olympic Games. So maybe Sega will develop a new Mario sports game of some sort or something like that. I don't know. But I think it's about time for Mario Sports. And then we have two games that, again, like the retro game, constantly on my lists, constantly coming up, and I think this year is the time for it to happen. Unless it's not, and then next year will be the time for it to happen. But for now, Xenoblade Chronicles X Deluxe. I really do think Xenoblade Chronicles X is going to be on the Switch by the end of the life cycle. There is one tiny issue in the fact that Xenoblade Chronicles just released last year, so I don't know if they want to put out another one this close to it, but I'm going to say they do, and that it'll be out, probably taking up like the October slot that like Pikmin took this year. I just think it's the last real big holdout of the Wii U. There are other games that could work. I'd love to see like Woolly World, for example, ported, but I think Xenoblade Chronicles X is the big holdout, the big last huge IP that isn't going to be reflected in anything else on the Switch. I don't think we're going to get Xenoblade Chronicles X2 anytime soon. So port this over, let that game make money because all the other Xenoblades have been selling pretty well. It's a big RPG, from my list, it's a bit RPG light this year, so why not serve that out on the Switch? The other one is one that is way less popular, and that is Star Fox Zero. Now, I still think Star Fox Zero has a good chance of being ported. The main complaint people have with Star Fox Zero is the control scheme. If they just make that easier to get around with, this will work fine. I think it's a good way to get people reinvested into Star Fox. I know that was the original intent and it didn't work out because of the weird control scheme. But if you remove that, a lot of new Switch owners are on here. They've never played Star Fox before, so retreading Star Fox 64 isn't going to be that big of a problem. I don't think Nintendo's working on a new Star Fox because of how, badly Zero did. But hopefully if they re-release it with a better control scheme, it'll do well and we'll get more Star Fox on the Switch. But, this is a game I'm going to keep predicting because I really do want it to happen. I think it could happen. Will it happen? Well, that's a different story. We'll see. And now we're getting to a bit of some more bold predictions, the bigger ones here. Let's start off with Fire Emblem. I think it's too early for a new Fire Emblem game, like a brand new one, because Three Houses is still, doing all right. However, I do think we're going to get an Echoes game. I think we're going to get a remake from the ground up, like Gaiden was, and I think that's going to be of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Don't know which one is which. One's the GameCube one, one's the Wii one. They are Ike's games. For those of you who don't, Fire Emblem, Ike from Smash Brothers, that's his game. I think they're going to go to remake. I saw a video about this, and this is all based on one guy's YouTube video, but I saw a YouTube video about this sometime earlier, I think in 2020, where the guy was talking about, and I'll link this video, so check the description, you'll find it. The guy was talking about how, these rumors for the Fire Emblem remakes are coming, and they're going to be Ike's games, and everyone's like, what, Ike's games? He's like, yeah, it's not going to be Thracia 776, it's not going to be Genealogy of the Holy War, it's going to be Ike's games. And I'm like, alright, cool. You sound like you know what you're talking about. I think a Fire Emblem Echoes games make sense anyways, so I'll hop on board with that, and I'll predict the same thing. Because I've predicted it's probably going to be Genealogy of the Holy War now, but, why not predict this one? Along those same lines, I think we are going to get a new Pokemon game this year. I think that the DLC giving us a breather year was a good idea. and I think it'll be Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Remix. I think it's time for Gen 4. Gen 4 has been kind of getting hinted at more recently. You know, Gen 4 Pokemon have started showing up more in promotional stuff. You can just kind of notice it happening. Ash has a Lucario in the anime. It's like his star Pokemon this season is a Lucario for some reason, which is a really weird choice. I mean, Lucario's always been pretty popular, but why now all of a sudden? Well, there you go. That's why. It's because Gen 4 is happening, and they want to tie in promotion with the anime. Although I do think these games will be specifically Diamond and Pearl. I don't think we're going to get content for Pokemon Platinum in these, at least as far as the Distortion World goes. The reason I'm saying that, even though I think the Distortion World makes a better story, is because I think they're going to want DLC for Diamond and Pearl remakes because of how well the DLC sold for Sword and Shield. I don't know what you would do as DLC for Diamond and Pearl. I can't think of anything except for taking the Distortion World, turning the Distortion World into some weird, freaky, big old wild area, putting Pokemon that we're still missing in there, throwing in some crazy stuff, and then putting that out as DLC. If there's more DLC earlier in the year, and I'm not predicting that, but if there is, then we will not get DLC for Diamond and Pearl, and the Distortion World will be a part of the main game. If there isn't, the Distortion World's going to be DLC. That's the feeling I've got. Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is going to get more DLC. We have 3 characters left. I think we'll get all 3 characters revealed by the end of this year. And I'm going to say my 3 characters who I think are getting in are Crash Bandicoot, Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, and Jibanyan from Yokai Watch. The reasoning behind these 3 characters is that Crash, starting off with him, I didn't think he was very likely to get in before. Obviously, he's a huge character that deserves a role in the game at this point, but I didn't think Crash should be that much fun to play as. I didn't think there was that much that they could do with him. But now that It's About Time has released, there is a lot that they could do with him with the quantum masks. There's way more stuff that they can do. There's also a leak going around, I don't know if it's been debunked at this point or not, that Ubisoft apparently has like this, Activision, not Ubisoft, I apologize. Activision has this like 5-step plan, and being in Smash Brothers is on there, so I'm going to say he's going to come to Smash. Ryu Hayabusa and Jibanyan, I'm actually choosing based on more weird things. I do think both characters have a lot to do in the game. They have movesets that would work, but these are the 2 most popular episodes of Super Smash Pass, and I don't understand why. They really random characters to be getting so much traction on videos, and like the Jibanyan video especially, I think is like 1,000 views ahead of any other video on my channel. So children are clearly super interested in Yokai Watch, and I don't think Nintendo's going to make the mistake of not looking at that, because it's immensely popular. And Level 5 has stopped publishing in the West, so they're going to publish that game through Nintendo, and all future games through Nintendo, so that little like brief moment where it was on PlayStation, I think that's over with. I think it's just going to be a Nintendo exclusive series like it's been for so long. And at the time of the deal, that probably wasn't even a problem to begin with. So I do think that Yokai Watch will get representation in this game because it makes business sense to do so. And then with Ryu, I just think Ninja Gaiden is one of those like last holdouts from the NES era. You know, I think it makes sense to have him in. Nintendo and Koei Tecmo have a great relationship right now. They just worked on, what was it, Hyrule Warriors? So, like, I don't know, it makes sense to me. The partnership with the business is there, the character is there. Apparently there's big rumors of like a whole trilogy of Ninja Gaiden games coming to just the Switch, whether they be like the remakes or I don't know what they're going to be exactly, but there's big rumors of that. We'll probably see that this year. So yeah, I think Ryu also makes a lot of sense. And then this is going to be another crazy prediction for me, but I think we're going to get Fighters Pass 3. I think it's going to happen. You know, Nintendo has just been like, and Sakurai specifically has been talking about how nothing like Smash Ultimate will probably ever happen again. Just because this is a one-in-a-lifetime chance to get all these characters back, and it's going to be becoming more and more difficult to get all the third-party characters as we move forward in Smash games. So why not just keep going? Why not just keep adding more? I think they are, and I think that there's something finite about Smash Ultimate. It feels like it'll be Sakurai's last game. I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels like it, so I think they're going to want to keep going until the last minute, and I think giving us a third Fighters Pass will be the way to do that. Especially since there's so many Nintendo characters. I know there's a lot of third-party characters people want, but there's so many Nintendo characters who haven't gotten in like Rex, a new Pokemon, for example, Captain Toad. There's just so many new characters that I would really love to see added in, and I think the Nintendo team wants to see too, and I would love to see that happen. So hopefully we get a new Fighters Pass, or maybe just individual fighters over the next couple of years, and they don't have to sell a big pass about it. They just, bleep them out every now and then. That would also be extremely wonderful for me. I'd love to see some new Echo Fighters like Impa, for example. But I think that something with more Smash DLC will happen in 2022 and beyond. And then last year we had this weird end of the year Splatoon stuff about Salmonoids, and I'll post up the photos if I can find them. There was a bunch of weird stuff happening with Splatoon. And everyone was like, okay, this is obviously gesturing to something happening the next year, and then nothing happened. We didn't get anything. So I'm going to say that we are going to get something from Splatoon. We're going to get a spin-off game. We're not going to get Splatoon 3. We're going to get a spin-off game of some sort. Maybe it'll be an extended version of the Salmonoid mode that will get that expanded into its own game. But something is going to happen with Splatoon as a spin-off, and it's going to focus on the Salmonoids. I also think, and this is not a Nintendo prediction, but it relates to Nintendo, I think we're getting a Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle sequel this year. I just think it makes sense. That game sold well enough, and it's on sale all the time at this point, so I think that it's about time to get a new one. And I'm going to predict that this is going to be Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle Hyrule Heroes. And it's going to be a Zelda version. The sequel is going to focus on Zelda characters with Rabbids. Maybe Mario characters will also show up, so it'll be Mario and Zelda. I think it'll be a fun thing. And then for its DLC, like how we had Donkey Kong previously, we're going to get DLC for Metroid, and that'll be the whole thing. Or maybe it'll be called Zelda plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. That would also make sense. But it's going to be Zelda and then Metroid DLC. I think that's what they're going to do. I think it makes sense. And Grant Kirkhope is going to come back to do the music because he's amazing and wonderful and I love him. And then another game that is being heavily teased is a new Kirby game. This game, HAL Laboratories has been talking about this all the time. They keep talking about how they're expecting to do a bigger game because their fans seem to want a bigger game. I do think that the Triple Deluxe formula kind of wore itself out when it came to Star Allies. Star Allies is a good game. It's just, it's lacking. It feels formulaic. It feels like it should have been on the 3DS, is what it honestly feels like. It doesn't feel like Kirby's big Switch game. And I think that this new game is going to be that, and I do think it's going to be a 3D Kirby game. And I do think it's coming out this year. I think HAL's just referencing it so much that this is the year for it. So we're definitely, this one I can guarantee we will see a 3D Kirby game this year. And then sort of at the end here, we need to talk about a couple things. There have been rumors about a Switch Pro model for so long at this point that it almost sounds ridiculous. But I still think it's going to happen, and I do think it's going to happen this year based on what a lot of people are saying, what a lot of leaks are saying. We just got a data mine for a new project of some sort that we don't even know exactly what that is. I'll link to articles about it or a video about it. But there's a bunch of weird stuff happening. It seems pretty likely that we're going to get a new Switch model. And I'm going to go back to my old predictions. I think I made a video about this, and if I did, I'll link it. I think it's going to be a dock. I don't think it'll be a Switch Pro. I think it'll be a Switch Pro dock, and that the Switch will be upgraded. It'll have a better screen, maybe some better chips, I don't know. But the main selling point is going to be that the dock is going to be able to do 4K and whatnot. Not natively, maybe. I don't know for sure exactly how all this stuff works. But the dock will do 4K. Maybe they'll even give it backwards compatibility. Maybe they'll give it a disk drive or something to help along with things, because I do think at this point their biggest issue is going to be getting third-party games on the Switch. And if they can get Switch discs made so that third parties can just make Blu-ray discs instead of having to force themselves through a cartridge, it might work out better for them. I'm not sure. But it'll be a dock. And they're going to sell the dock separately so that, old Switch owners can just go buy the dock and use that instead of having to buy the new Switch. But if you want to upgrade, you can also upgrade. I think it's the most sensical way of doing it, where you don't alienate any audiences. You might need the dock to play certain games, but you can just go buy the dock. It would be a great thing to bundle with Breath of the Wild 2, which is another game I think is going to happen this year. I had predicted it for last year. It didn't happen. We didn't see it at all. At this point, I think it'll come out in March. because I think the Switch is going to come out in March, the upgraded Switch dock system, whatever you want to call it. And I think that Breath of the Wild will be the game that they're going to bundle it with, and they're going to put it out there with, because they're going to want people to play this game. And, I mean, when else are they going to release Zelda? They're not going to want it in December. I think that's way too late in the year. They're going to want it out before the holidays. But also, Pokemon's going to be coming out in November. So when else do you do it? I think you have to do it back in March, just like they did with the original Breath of the Wild, to push initial sales for the dock. And then building even more on this, there's been some weird stuff about how Mario's going to die, essentially, I guess, on, I think it's March 31st. There's a bunch of weird stuff happening there. And I think the reason for all this is that we're going to get an NSO relaunch. I think that they're going to stop the drip feed. They're going to stop all this stuff, and they're just going to give us like a Netflix subscription, essentially. Game Pass type thing. But with all of Nintendo's old games. And then, you know, third-party games, it might be a little bit finicky because I don't know why a company like Capcom would want their games on this if they can sell like a legacy collection. But maybe there'll be some type of thing that you can like pay to get those third-party games, but the Nintendo games come with it or something. I'm not sure. Maybe this will be a good way for them to find and release games like Mother 3, because they did that Fire Emblem localization. That has to be a test to see if they can localize old games and make money off them. It just makes sense to me. And I guess Fire Emblem will pull into that too. Like it'll be pulled into this, and then you have to buy some of these games on the eShop and some you won't. But I think this big, huge thing, and this is mainly coming from Tiffany Treadmore, is where this rumor is coming from. But I think it's true, and I think it's going to happen. It seems right. I don't know why else they would be doing weird stuff with physical releases on anniversaries and whatnot. Especially since it's not really like Nintendo ever does anniversary stuff anyways. So I think it's coming. And then there's one game that I don't think we'll see at all, which is Detective Pikachu 2. I don't think we're going to see that. I think they're going to wait for Detective Pikachu 2, the movie, to be announced, and then they'll announce the game alongside it. But I don't think we're going to see it this year. I just think it's going to continue to be this, like, whatever happened to that? We might not even see Pokemon Sleep either, if I'm being honest with you. But one game I do think we're going to see for the first time is we're going to see a teaser for the Golden Sun remake. Again, this is based on a rumor video, which I will link below, but there's really good evidence, so I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to release this year, but I think we're going to see a teaser at the very least, and it'll probably release next year. I don't know if Golden Sun is a trilogy or just 2 games. I think it's just 2 games. I think it's just the original Golden Sun, and then is it Dark Dawn is a sequel on the DS? If I'm wrong, please let me know, because I did a video on Isaac and I should know this, but I don't remember. But I think we're going to get a teaser for it. I think it'll be a full ground-up remake. I think that's what Camelot is working on, and that's why we're not getting Mario Golf this year. But, you know, I think it's time. I think it's going to happen. I always have to make one crazy prediction. I think F-Zero last year was a crazy one. I think the return of Golden Sun is even more crazy, but it's time. Let's make it happen. And my final prediction is that we're going to see a trailer for Super Mario Odyssey 2, probably around E3. I know I've been predicting this game for a while. You know, it started off as DLC, now it's moved over to a sequel because of the amount of time that has passed, but I think it's going to happen probably in 2022 is probably when it's going to release. Maybe, if we're really lucky, it'll come out in 2020, but I think that the year is already so packed on stuff that I've been saying that I don't want to make that prediction. But, you know, I don't know why I'm drawing the line here, considering how many other games are on this video, but whatever, it's fine. We'll see a trailer for it. It'll come out next year. And that is it for my 2021 predictions. There's a lot, granted. I don't know that every single one of these will happen, but I think all of these have chances to happen. So, you know, maybe a couple of these won't, is what I'm saying here. I mean, probably none of them will, but definitely not every single last prediction is going to happen this year. That'd be a crazy year. But I think all of these have a pretty good shot of happening this year. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I don't know. In the doobly-doos and whatnot. Also, I think I'm going to wind up splitting this video into segments and posting them on TikTok, because, like, I want to see what that's about. I don't really post on TikTok, but if anybody of you have a TikTok and you want to look at that and see if that's a thing worth doing, and if it works well and giving me some feedback, that would be really helpful. I'm going to flash my TikTok thing on here, and you can go follow on there. It'll probably be a little while before they start showing up there, but I don't know. I figured it'd be a way to try something new. Let me know. Anyways, guys, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Remember to stay safe, stay inside, stay socially distant, wear a mask, and hopefully this whole thing is going to come to an end soon.
See you next time.